Hello everyone. Today we are going to cover rewriting and nominalization handout together. This is the handout that we are going to cover, and you can find this handout on MethoDB student page, group pages, pre-intermediate group, span 2, and you will see instructor and student copies for this, or it will be uploaded to Google Class. So let's start. How do we rewrite? Of course, we rewrite the sentences, phrases, or paragraphs by paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means rewriting a source using your own words. So the idea here is that you keep the meaning of the original text, but you are not copying the same words. You can change the words, or you can change the grammar structures while you are keeping the meaning same. Why do we do this? Actually, this is very beneficial for our academic skills. For example, for taking notes. To take better notes while reading, to understand and remember the text better. Or it may help you to answer comprehension questions for reading text. You don't have to copy down the exact sentences from the text anymore if you can rewrite sentences. Or you can understand and answer true-false questions or multiple choice questions better, which is the same actually for gap filling activities too. And it helps you to incorporate reading and writing by transferring the information that we have read into a written context. So how can we do this? What are the ways to rewrite a sentence? So basically in this handout we are going to cover 5 techniques to rewrite a text. These are changing word order, combining or dividing sentences, using synonyms and antonyms, or using negative or opposite expressions, using different forms of language, and nominalization. So while you are rewriting a sentence, you can just use one of those techniques, or you can combine 1, 2, or 3 of them if you want. First technique is changing word order. When we say changing word order, it might really refer to a word or a sentence. So as you see in this sentence, there is one independent and one dependent sentence, and these are linked with because. Because I didn't hear my alarm clock, I missed the first class. So in here, I'm paying attention to the linker and then the punctuation. If I change the order of this sentence, I would say, I missed the first class because I didn't hear my alarm clock. I want you to pay attention to the punctuation because we used because in the middle. You don't have to use the comma anymore. Now, I want you to look at those sentences, pause the video, and try to rewrite those sentences by changing the word order. Okay, now let's check our answers together. So the sentence says, when you go to New York for Christmas, you should take warm clothes. So how do we change this? We're changing the sentences, the order of the sentences actually. We would say, you should take warm clothes when you go to New York. And here again, you don't need to use the comma because of changing order. In the second sentence, I want you to pay attention to the subjects, because when we change the word order, they is supposed to come to the beginning of the sentence. But if you are starting a sentence, you should use the real or the original subject. Don't use pronoun or any referencing words. So in here, although I take they stayed in the room sentence into beginning, I should change the subject as the members. The members stayed in the room until the end of the meeting, although they were tired. Now you can use they in the second sentence because we know what it refers to now. So this is how we change the word order and rewrite sentences. Now, second technique to rewrite is combining or dividing sentences, which means you are either putting sentences together into one, or you are separating sentences by using different structures. So if you look at the sentence, it says, we went to a town, it had beautiful scenery and interesting history. So they gave us a word, which, in parentheses. So it tells me that I can combine these two sentences by using which. And when we look at the sentence, a town and it are the common points. So it tells me that you can use this which as a relative pronoun and combine the two sentences. So I would say, we went to a town which had beautiful scenery and blah blah blah. So this is an example of combining two separate sentences. Or we will do it vice versa. There is only one sentence and we are supposed to divide it into two. The students will take 5 courses which are in physics. So this which are part is actually our relative clause, and now we are going to divide it into 2 separate sentences. Students will take 5 courses. These courses are in physics and engineering departments. So this is another technique that you can use to rewrite. Now look at this practice. The book is Lynn's favorite book. It tells about a man who joined the army in World War II. So there are 2 separate sentences and I am planning to combine them. And now I want you to pause the video, think about those sentences, and try to write down how you would combine these 2 separate sentences. Okay, now if we look at those sentences, the book and the it are the common points. So I can combine them by using a relative clause, and this is how you would do that. The book, which tells about a man who joined the army in World War II, is Lynn's favorite book. This is how you combine 2 sentences by using an appropriate grammar structure. Third technique is using synonyms and antonyms, or using negative or opposite expressions. So in here, we have a sentence, and the verb improve is underlined. So, as we said, I will keep the meaning same, but change the word or change the grammar structure. So instead of improve, I can say get better or become better. When you look at the 2 sentences, they have the same meaning, but it is given with different verbs. Or look at the second sentence. Michael was disappointed because the movie wasn't very good. So I can change the adjectives, I can change the grammar, and you would say Michael wasn't happy instead of was disappointed because the movie was bad instead of wasn't very good. Good and bad are antonyms. Disappointed and happy are kind of opposite expressions. So you can play with the words and keep the meaning same if you use this technique. Now I want you to look at those 2 sentences, pause the video, and try to write down how you would complete those sentences. Okay, let's have a look at those sentences. We have some parts of the sentence. We have to complete the sentence in a meaningful way. We are not going to change the original meaning. So last year, 80% of the students passed the final exam. So if 80% passed, 20% must have failed. So I would say last year 20% of the students failed or couldn't pass. It is up to you which structure to use. Or because there was too much noise, it was impossible for me to focus on my work. So this is like keeping the meaning same. What else can I use instead of saying it was impossible for me to focus on? Impossible is the keyword here, kind of. So I'm trying to guess what is the alternative. So instead of saying it was impossible, you would say, I couldn't focus on my work. In here, I want you to pay attention to the tenses. For example, in the second sentence, it says it was impossible, so this is past tense. When you rewrite this, the sentence should be in past tense. That is why I used couldn't here, to keep the meaning and the tense same, okay? This is an important point. Please be careful with the tenses while you are rewriting sentences. Fourth strategy is using different forms of language. It means if you have an active sentence like the dog bit the man, you can change it into a passive form, of course, if it is possible. The man was bitten by the dog. So again, in here, while you are changing the form of the language, pay attention to the tense. The original sentence, the dog bit the man, was in past tense. So I'm changing it into past passive while I am rewriting it. Okay? Now, I want you to look at those two sentences and think about how you would rewrite them. Pause the video and write down your answers. Okay, so if I look at sentence 1, the people in this country speak various languages, and subject is already given, various languages, so I have to start with that. So when I look at the original sentence, I see that it's an active sentence. So since the object is in subject position in the rewritten version, so I think I should change the sentence into a passive form. And the original sentence's tense is present simple, so the rewritten version should be in present passive. That is why I would say various languages are spoken in this country. In sentence 2, for example part is underlined, and in the rewritten version they want us to use such as. In here, I need to check the grammar rule with such as. Actually, for example and such as have the same meaning, but different grammar. They are used with different grammar structures. After, for example, we need a sentence, but after such as, we need either noun phrases, or verb ing forms. So, it is wanted that you need to, they like Mickey Mouse and Snoopy sentence, take this sentence and change it into a noun phrase, or verb ing form. Since we are giving an example here, you can just take the Mickey Mouse and Snoopy and write it directly after such as and finish your sentence. So actually, basically, you gave examples in both sentences. With for example, I used a sentence. With such as, I used noun and noun phrases. This is how you can change the grammar structure but keep the meaning same. Last one is nominalization. Nominalization is using noun phrases and noun clauses instead of verbs, adjectives, and sentences. So I am saying the same thing, but in different ways. So in here, it says you should decide by tomorrow. Instead of decide, what are my alternatives? In here, I want you to think about collocations and how to give the same meaning differently. We know that decide, if it is used in a collocation, it can be used with give us your decision, give decision, okay? Or authorities must explain the cause of the explosion. Explain is a verb here, but if I want to change form of it, you could say authorities must make an explanation of the cause. I change the verb explain into explanation. Same goes with announce. I want to announce something, or I have an announcement to make. It's a different way to say it, but still the meaning is the same. Now I want you to look at these charts and if necessary use your dictionaries and find the different forms of the words. In the first part, verbs are given, change them into nouns. Or if it is noun, change it into verb. or change the adjectives into nouns. Now it is your turn to complete the practice. Hello again. So this is the practice part of rewriting and nominalization handout. We will look at the tasks together and go over them all together. So this was practice 1. We have 3 different columns, and in each column we are supposed to change the forms of the words. So in the first chart we are given the verbs and we will change them into nouns. So this is the answer key. Please check your answers. And I want to tell you this, while you are studying the different forms of the verbs, you should study collocations too, because we are using these different forms in different collocations, so it will help you to remember, understand, and paraphrase the sentences or phrases better. This is the second column. In this column, nouns are given, and you need to change them into verbs. Please check your answers. And this is the last column in the chart. Now we have the adjectives and we will change them into nouns. Again, check your answers, please. And now, in practice 2, we are going to see how to use them in sentences in a meaningful way. While you are doing these kind of exercises, you need to pay attention to the meaning. Of course, meaning is the most important thing in rewriting. And you need to check the grammar structures. I mean, what is missing in the sentence? What is the missing part of speech? Do you need a verb? Do you need an adjective? Do you need a noun in your sentence? These are the points that you need to consider. So, if you look at the instructions, it says use the correct forms of the words. It means that even if they give you the verb form in the box, you might need to change it into noun or adjective form according to your sentence, okay? Be careful with this. Now, I want you to look at practice 2. You have 9 sentences. By focusing on the meanings, I want you to try to complete this exercise. Okay, this is the answer key for practice 2. Check your answers, please. There are some points that might help you. For example, if you look at question 8 and 9, you will see that blanks are after the modal verbs. So we know that after modal verbs, we need verb 1 forms. So while doing these sentences, you should remember that you are looking for verb 1 forms from the box. After finding the verb forms, you can focus on meaning and choose the proper verb, okay? Or if you look at question 3, can I make a something? Make a something is kind of a collocation. Make a suggestion would be okay here, but they give us the verb suggest, so I need to change it into noun form to use it in the collocation. So, check your answers. If you have any questions, you can ask your teachers or you can attend the office hours with your teachers. Let's go on. This is practice 3. This time we have full sentences and we are going to rewrite them by using given words or giving linkers or collocations. So pause the video, try to rewrite sentences, and then we will check together. In the practice, they give us the verbs mostly in parentheses. For example, in the first sentence, teachers try to educate their students in the best way. Instead of saying educate, I can change because I should change the verb because they gave me give. So teachers try to give what? I need to change educate into education in here. So you need to get this from the context, from the sentence actually. Okay? Or if you look at sentence 4, the original sentence says the Curies are best known for discovering radium. But I have to put their into my rewritten version. So they are best known for their discovery. We learned that after their we need a noun. So I know that discovering should change into a noun. And I know that, we know that discover is the verb, discovery is the noun form. So I'm combining them together and I say for their discovery of radium. Okay? Or the last one, number 5. The company needs to solve this problem. Instead of solve, there's a collocation that you can use. Solve a problem or to find a solution to a problem. So if you study different forms of the words and the collocation, rewriting or paraphrasing will be easier for you. Okay? So let's look at the next practice, practice 4. This practice is freer than the others because you have the original sentence and now you are free to do however you want to write it. Jason is an only child. What does that mean? Now you are going to decide this, okay? Focus on the meaning and try to plan how you would rewrite it. Pause the video, do the answers, and then we will check the answers together. So this is the answer key. Please check your answers and pay attention to the keywords while you are rewriting your sentences. For example, in number 2, you have has worked, present perfect tense, and for 6 years, again, present perfect tense, finally. Okay? And look at the rewritten version. Your main verb is started. This is past simple. So if you consider this, you can do the necessary changes because I have to change for 6 years into 6 years ago. Okay? So tenses are definitely helpful to check while you are rewriting. Or in question 3, it says it is necessary. So present simple tense, necessary is my keyword. So it is necessary for children not to eat too many sweets. So actually they shouldn't eat too many sweets. Okay? So yes, grammar is definitely helpful, but you need to really focus on the meaning and what the message is. Okay? So number 4, it's used so as a linker. We know that so and because are kind of similar, not similar, but you can use them to change the meaning because kind of parallel reason-result relationships are given by either because or so. So you can remember all those meaning and grammar rules which will help you a lot while you are rewriting. Okay? And this was the end of our practice part. As I told you before, if you have any questions, just send an email to your teachers or join the class hours, join the office hours with your teachers. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay isolated, everyone. Have a nice day.